So, good morning, audience. Thank you for joining us this morning for CEO Insights. And I am Karen Anderson, along with Suzanne Hannafin, co-founders of Acumen Executive Search, a boutique recruiting company with a global reach. I am absolutely delighted to welcome Chris. Chris Marsh has been a valued client and become a friend. He is quite a leader in the business world with extraordinary talent for taking companies to the next level. Chris, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I wonder if you could talk about your background and where you are now, and give us a little insight into your organizations.
Yeah. Well, Portland, grown and raised guy, Oregon State grad, and been doing business in Portland for a number of years. I've been involved in a number of different technology companies and industries over my career, and have successfully exited and sold 14 companies in my career to date, and been involved in a number of merger and acquisitions. My background started as a finance guy and been the CEO for the last 25 years. Today, I'm involved in 7 different companies in about 5 different industries currently.
That's phenomenal. So tell us, pre-COVID, how were the companies faring? I believe they're very diverse industries.
They were. I think the rising tide of all companies in the time pre-COVID, things were going well. The economy was strong and employment growth was great. And we were, all the companies were doing quite well, and the future looked very bright.
Mm-hmm. So Chris, I have a question. Can you share with us what industries those organizations are in?
Yeah, so I have a couple of companies in a few different segments of the financial technology sector, medtech sector, and telecom, and cold storage warehouse area, and then also the final one is real estate development construction.
So out of those industries, again, as we're going through this new normal, which one is faring kind of like staying more normal than the others?
Yeah, for us so far, at least within the companies I'm involved with, the fintech space, the financial companies are doing fairly well. I would just say that probably not one company that I'm involved with, touch, or am close to with people that I know well. Everybody's been touched at some level, right? No one's gotten unscathed and with the impact of the COVID world. But our fintech companies are doing okay, and largely because people are still hungry for data, and probably even more than ever now. I think the thing that we're finding is the speed and the velocity of what people are looking for. Data becomes almost hourly and daily versus sometimes on these weekly and monthly reporting cycles that we were on before. So those industries are doing quite well, and still seeming to grow, and we're still moving the ball forward, although harder, but still fine.
And so my next question is that how have you pivoted given the new reality that we're here experiencing? What has changed in your leadership tactics?
Well, probably the single biggest thing that has changed is the very thing that we're doing here today. We're not in the same room behind the camera. We're on Zoom, right? And so, the virtual nature of business has changed in a very significant way. I think what's been really astounding and remarkable for me and many of my leadership teams is just how much we can get done, how productive that we can be doing business this way, right?
Right.
I think that's been pretty profound, and I think that's going to leave a long-lasting impact on businesses thinking about space planning, people planning, interaction. And I historically have been kind of a social animal. I'm the kind of guy that wants to get on a plane and go see you. I just feel like I do my best work when I'm right in front of you. But I've had to, by the nature of all of us through social distancing, had to recalibrate how I can still be successful using different tools than I've done in the past. And they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I'm an old dog, and I'm learning new tricks, right, to the trade here of managing this new world. My son, who is 19 years old, has been practicing social distancing since probably 8 years ago. all he does is live behind a computer, right? So that generation, it's like they haven't missed a beat. My generation is like, my gosh, how do we do business anymore? And I find that, it's been successful, not without its pains and struggles and me figuring out how to load every single kind of online app that I need to do Zoom and GoToCall and all the, Microsoft tools there, but it's worked out.
Fantastic. And so, do you have, we all recognize that the future is definitely with more technology, but as far as, deals, I can't imagine you not getting on a plane and doing business with your various investors and such. Will you be curtailing that? And if so, what tools are you using to,
Again, technology, gotta love it. Huh?
Sorry.
Well,
what tools will you be using to get the best of both worlds?
yeah. Well, as the world and America reopens, as we're all now experiencing, and I think the new normal is still in the definition mode, right? I don't think travel is going to go away. I don't think the airline industry is going to crash. I think that, at a minimum, the experiential side of life, you want to get on a plane and go to places and see things and experience new things. And it's a little hard to do that through Zoom. But I do think it will probably change the face of business travel to where there won't be the need to do as much. I think we've now recognized there's so much more that can be accomplished. And I'm sure the CFOs of the world are going to be crimping down on travel budgets, knowing that that is possible, right? But for me, clearly, there's still this value around being in front of those that you lead in your companies and those that you do business. And the personal kind of touch that now is no touch, but the fist pump, the elbow bump, or just the hello is, the new normal, but still being in the same room and having that interaction has value. And I think it will have its place in the business world going forward. But my guess is it will change and it will be different. But, like many things that we've seen and being old enough that we've lived through a number of catastrophic impacts to the world that we live in business, this one being the most unique, that it's a pandemic that we've never been through. I think that we find, that memories fade and quickly people go back to the norms of society and what they love and used to do, like going out to dinner that I took for granted and now I haven't done in, 2.5 months, right? So, I think those are going to be some new things, and being flexible and being socially responsible to the people who you work with and who work for you, and being careful and thoughtful about those things is really important, and a lot of communication.
And I really like that about you, Chris. You have this amazing talent for picking good leaders and not settling for anybody. I mean, we've worked with you and sometimes it's taken a while, but you always know when that right person is there. We've always, you have an instinct about you. Tell the audience how you choose people. It seems to me that you don't settle on a number of things.
Well, I think you start with setting the standards high for yourself, right? And it is, it's funny, when I was growing up, my dad, when I was really young, used to tell me, do as I say, not as I do. It was something I always hated in my life, right? Because I thought, wait, set the example, right? Do as I do, not as I say. Just, actions mean a lot for me. And so, and maybe that was ingrained in my head. And so when I think about the life that I live, I don't ask of others that I wouldn't do myself. Now, I do set the bar high for myself. I work a lot. I don't expect people to be the workaholic or 724 kind of work style, but I do expect that people step up to the plate and deliver in a big way. And the rewards are significant, assuming that we're aligned on all those. 15 years ago, I ran a company that was all about behavioral sciences and selection tools around picking people. And it really taught me a lot, right? Because a lot of times, people through the hiring process, which is, you guys are the pros at this, but, people look at resumes and experiences and education and go, wow, you've been there, you've done that. But most people are terminated because of behavioral characteristics that don't align well to the job. And so becoming really smart to spot those and use the tools that are out there to help you spot those and really test those theories and thoughts around the people you bring into your company. A lot of us call that the cultural fit of things, right? It is significant because you could be the smartest cat in the block with all the great experience, but if you don't fit the culture, it will be a disastrous outcome. Yep. And as much as I've tried, I've not been perfect. I've had those in my life. You learn a lot from those, but I've become much more methodical and process oriented around that process, which quite frankly is why I love working with you guys, because you have that same discipline and focus around talent is such a critical piece of the puzzle around bringing product ideas and capital together with people that drive it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have a fast question, Karen, about leadership, because we know that things are changing in technology and what have you. Do you think management and leadership in itself is going to have to pivot, or has it pivoted? Where do you see your management style, again, with multiple industries? And how is that going to be any different?
Yeah, it's so diverse. I mean, one of the areas that is being impacted, probably the most negative and really a pretty big impact and struggle for just the human element, is in the consulting world. So, I serve as a board member on a company that's a fairly large 1,000-employee consulting company. And, where companies are pulling back and cutting costs first is in that arena. And it's been really catastrophic for them around the numbers of people that are being benched or happen to be furloughed or actually terminated as part of the restructure. I think that world is going to be materially impacted around how you deliver a service that's all about people delivering, talent and expertise in that arena. And I think that's still being defined and determined. I think yet again in that industry, they're seeing how they can deliver a lot through these types of apps that we're using here today. But it's a big struggle. And I think it's still yet to be determined how companies like that figure that out. It's been an enormous amount of communication and flexibility and pain, quite frankly, to get to the new normal there. I'm sure there will be something, but it's going to look, in my opinion, pretty materially different than what it looks like today. When I think about the fintech space and the stuff we do, I mean, honestly, we're collecting a bunch of data and selling a bunch of data. It's not a person, it's a thing, it's a product, it's information. It's always transferred electronically through the digital lines of what we do. And so that business just doesn't have the same level of impact. Personal meetings and touches, we're not that big anyway to begin with. And so the selling process may be a little bit different, but the business norms still seem to be fairly similar.
Yeah.
In the construction space, right, it's been problematic around how you get things done that takes physical presence. Buildings don't get built, right, through computers. People have to grab hammers and be swinging them. And, people in the city governments have to be getting out and inspecting the sites. And that's changed a lot, trying to create social distancing of 6 foot apart with, a workforce that, are on top of each other. So it's almost industry by industry specific. And so all I can say as a CEO and a board member to a number of industries and a number of companies is open mind, flexibility, finding the path to win, right? And not just giving up, throwing your hands up and say, just call me when it's over. Because if you do that, it will be over for you and every company you're involved with, right? So, head up, eyes straight forward, find the path through it. There is, right? For every loser, there are winners in every market, in every environment. And so having that attitude and being confident and strong with your team, because they look to you as a leader to bring them the confidence that things will be okay. I can't be certain that you won't get COVID, but what I can do is provide the safest work environment I can.
Absolutely. And I think you touched upon something with the consulting side of it. That looking somebody in the eye to eye, that really close proximity, that's the trust builder. And I think that's taken a hit for a lot of businesses, not being able to have that interaction. So it makes
Well,
sense.
it's the whole virtual workforce, right? That's been going on for a long time. And I think we all know that those are really challenging environments. When they work, they're great, but they're hard to get there, right? For us here on this call, we know each other. We have an established rapport and relationships. So for me to get on a phone call and have this kind of a conversation is comfortable, it's fluid, and it works well because there's a commonality of a relationship. We know each other. When it's a net new relationship, I always say it's good to be kind of together for a while before you create the virtual relationship that you don't see each other and you're across the world and ponds. Companies do it all the time, and they work through those processes. And that's been kind of the non-normal for a lot of the workforce because they are all in the same office. But I think that the new normal will maybe not that. I mean, industries that I think are going to get largely changed and impacted is the commercial office space arena. I mean, brace yourself. Who knows where that goes? But I think there's going to be a lot of space available because I think people are finding that working from home is something that can be done. Productivity is a big question for me, right? In that arena, can you still be productive? And listen, as much as I love my wife and I like being at home, too much of that is of a good thing is just too much, right? You want to get out. You know, there's times you just want to get out of your house, get out of the office, and go mingle with people and be in the office. And so I don't know where that center line is going to be, but it'll be different for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I miss my interactions with people tremendously, but we are pivoting at Acumen also. And so, as you said, if you don't pivot, if you don't respond to the times, then you're going to come up short. Suzanne, have we any questions from you?
Yeah, I guess just the final one. I mean, you touched on leadership, communications, action. What other insights? Because this is going to be viewed by other CEOs.
Yes.
What advice and knowledge that you can leave?
Well, I think those, if CEOs and leaders are watching this video, I mean, I think that we all know and feel the loneliness at times, right? When you're times of crisis, that everybody looks to you to have the answers. And honestly, you wake up every morning wondering yourself if you have all the answers or the right answers, and taking action is the hardest thing. Having your networks around you, having conversations with people that are walking in the same shoes, dealing with the same things, which was why I've always found organizations like YPO or other kind of business groups have been very powerful for me to talk to my network of people and bounce ideas and thoughts and best practices, and just being out there. Because if you live in the cocoon of your own office, in your own home, 20 steps from your bedroom, and you don't go out of that, it's really hard to kind of have the open view of some of the best practices that are being done by great companies that are finding their way through this. And so I would encourage those that feel that loneliness and isolation to step out virtually, right, and connect to other CEOs and other leaders. They're willing to help. They're out there. There are organizations that you can do that. I think that makes a huge difference. It does for me. I don't feel so alone when I'm fighting the battle with other team members that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, very insightful. Thank you for that, Chris.
Yeah.
So how can we, is there anything that we or our audience can do to help you? Anything that you need, Chris?
Let's see, COVID vaccines. You know what? I think what you guys doing here is just great, right? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that is what makes America great, right? And I think that it's tough, it's sad to see, but this too will pass, and we'll recover, and we'll be better for it. It's really sad and unfortunate that so many lives have been lost, and probably still more to come. And that is the sad and devastating part of this whole situation. But I hope, as a government and as a society, we get smarter about to be prepared for what may not be the last pandemic we face in our lifetime, right? That we're better prepared to deal with those, armed with the right tools to be more responsive. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's, I think you're doing great. I think this is good.
Yeah, well, it's been an absolute privilege to have you talk with us and share your opinions, which I value. I also value you as a human being. Thank you for joining us. And Suzanne, any final word?
No, I think you said it perfectly, Karen. Chris, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
All the best. We're looking forward to hearing your next great
Adventure.
initiative.
Yes, as soon as the airplanes open up and I can get on one safely, I will be going somewhere, I'm sure.
Well, thanks again, Chris. You are a delight, and we value you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.